I'm no more or less content than I was when I was a struggling fighter who couldn't pay the bills. I don't think you're any more or less content anywhere along the journey. Pretty similar to air resistance. As a car is trying to go faster and faster, the wall of air it's competing against gets stronger and stronger. Where you get to in your life is down to how aerodynamic you are as an individual. How much stress can you adopt? I control myself, but I have the capability to be dangerous completely. I think all men should be. That's the reason liberals hate me so much, because they're scared of me. They see me as a big threat and danger. I feel like one of the primary objectives, perhaps, of the Matrix is to make men hide the fact that they're dangerous. Aren't men going through the world now trying to prove how dangerous they aren't? My girl the other day, then we turned Netflix off because it annoyed me, and we watched something else, and I said, why are all these dudes faggots? She goes, they're not all gay. I'm not talking about the gay ones. I'm talking about the straight ones. They're gay. I understand why if you work in corporate or whatever. It's not a concern of mine. If you look at me and think, oh, he might be dangerous, I don't give a shit. A lot of men never used to care, but now there seems to be a concerted and deliberate effort for men to prove that they're not a threat to anybody. You look at a street criminal and a Wall Street banker. There's difference in capability, but is there really difference in intent? Is there really difference in the mentality? We're just talking about differences in capability. People who own the world today are perfectly prepared to rob everybody. Once you understand that you don't want to live a normal life and you don't want to conform, then you're going to try and find the people who aren't living a normal life. And unfortunately in Luton, there's not many high-level Wall Street bankers. So you just end up seeing the people doing everything else. And then this becomes a question of morality. Are they better than the people in Luton who are robbing houses? Sending 200,000 people to get blown to smithereens by Russian artillery so their stock goes up? If you don't have that psychopathy, fine, then you fall somewhere within the herd, but that herd is just getting exploited permanently. I don't want the entire Matrix to crumble. I like the fact that a lot of people do believe in the bullshit, because it would be stupid of me to think everybody should think like I think. Well, now we have chaos. No. I mean, as bad as the West is, are we still the best of a bad bunch? If you look at the rest of the world, in many ways we are. If you're living in China and the government's suppressing you, you're not like, this is unfair. You're kind of like, well, that's the game I'm living. The West, we have this disconnect from people who can think for themselves to people who can't. The people who can think for themselves are very, very angry at the West because they're like, you lied to me. You told me this was freedom. It isn't. You told me judges were fair. They're not. You told me the Department of Education was educating my children. They're not. You told me doctors kept me alive. They don't. This lying that I think has upset us more. Okay, forget the lie, but actually look at the system. As bad as it is in the West, is it better anywhere else? Inconvenient. Fine. If I pissed off Putin the way I pissed off the West, I'd be dead. It's kind of hard to measure. It's all a big bad bunch. All these different colored sheep, different religions from different places, from Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Muslims, Christians, you name it. They're not saying to their sheep they're free. They're not saying to their sheep they even have any degree of liberty. In fact, it's pretty much the opposite. They say, we have a big fence. If I'm so free, how come this fence is actually the biggest fence of all the other sheep herds? Because we have the biggest fences with the most laws. This is actually why a lot of the countries in the world do what they do. This is why North Korea on the news every single day threatens America. They know the best way to keep their population unified is to talk about the size of the wolf. The shepherds are rich off me, and I never get to be rich. That's where the discontentment's coming in. I think that's where a lot of the actual anger is coming. Russia doesn't promise its people they get to be rich. China doesn't say on the news every day, you get to be a rich person. People are so docile now that they brag about how stupid their leaders are. The MPs in England are idiots. I'm like, yeah, they are, but they're your boss. You're right, they're idiots. I agree, they're idiots. But you're even more stupid. New laws are passed every day, and laws are never taken away. We want to talk about the sheep herd and talk about freedom. Every day, our wall actually gets smaller. What is human trafficking? Well, she transported them from Thailand on a plane. That's the transport. For what? For profit, because they give massages. Yeah, because the masseuses, the good people, the heroes, the men did not allow people to do whatever they wanted. And that morality has convinced the Western world now into committing the largest act of suicide that we're going to ever see in probably modern history. The level of cuckdom that the average Western government is operating under is fucking ridiculous. That explains why hot girls are conservative and why ugly girls are liberal. Hot girls are like, I'm hot and I like me and I like the way I act and I like the way I think and I like the way I look and I want my kids to look like me. And then you have the ugly trolls who hate themselves. They won't admit they hate themselves, but they do by proxy. So they're committing suicide by proxy. I'm not going to sit and debate with these people because one of the things I'm going to try and do with all my money is avoid all these scum. They hate themselves and they want society to pay a price by extension because God managed to make them trolls. This goes into my point about why I won't debate with them. Well, debate with who about what? You're just born to fucking lose. People like you have always been born to lose. And when people like you met me, in every period of human history, you were destroyed. Now you have the internet and I'm supposed to sit here with you and talk about it. But anywhere else, you were gone. You can go down the gender path about why females are more likely to think this way because they're incapable of violence. So females are less likely to have a differing opinion because they can't defend that opinion. Pretty basic psychology that explains these things. Morality is going to be this version of it that they're trying to purport by the MSM. Then the only end result is destruction. If morality is accepting everything, then the end result is destruction. You can come with your own morals. And we're moral because we let everyone else have their own morals. Freedom. Women don't want kids if they're liberal. Men don't want to resist oppression if they're liberal. Men don't want to defend their society and defend their land and defend their women if they're liberal. They're at war with their own instincts. If we were to accept that liberals take mind-altering drugs more often than conservatives for anxiety, depression, whatever it is, some kind of mental health ailment, why were you trying to push the world with your worldview when all of you are on the verge of suicide? I've always been the person who looked at a tree, a big, beautiful tree. And my girlfriend would be like, wow, look how beautiful that tree is. And I'd sit there and go, that tree killed every tree around it. Every sapling anywhere near it. Its roots go so deep, an army tank can crash into that tree and the tree will stay standing. How many other trees has that tree murdered? Tree's a gangster, but he's dangerous. I try and have conversations with women, which is always a mistake because they don't understand anything outside of themselves. They only think about themselves. They're very selfish. And whenever I discuss any subject with men, we discuss it on the macro and we discuss it on the personally applicable, right? We can even look at a legal system. Romania is the safest country in Europe. You know why? Because they'll lock you up on nothing. Good that the poor people here see that being rich comes with problems or it might make riots and, you know, you're rich and you go to jail sometimes. They're just like, it's for the beehive. England will never have a Trump. When anyone is even 5% of Trump, the way they're piled on, everyone else who's kind of tried to be a Trump a bit, Ben, huge fan of Nigel Farage, I support him. The second they say, Andrew Tate supported you, instead of saying, lots of people support me, and I'm not responsible for the actions or the lifestyles of every single person who supports me. I'm here to do my job, and I'm glad that lots of prominent figures across the spectrum support me. That's a professional answer. Just come up with off the top of my fucking head, so I'm more qualified than him. Oh, well, Andrew Tate says really bad things I know, and I don't want to talk about it. He shits himself. I sit down with the BBC, and they're like, oh, so we think you're a rapist. Fuck you. You're a misogynist. Sometimes it blows their mind. You can't say that.